Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are cracking open two ancient guides for a problem that feels, well, pretty timeless. What do you do when your whole world just falls apart? We're going to look at a couple of master strategists, Ezekiel and Daniel, and see how they built this toolkit for resilience that, honestly, is just as useful today as it was thousands of years ago. So, whenever some huge catastrophe hits, it seems like most of us fall into one of two traps. On one side, you've got denial. Acting like everything is totally fine, burying your head in the sand. Then, on the other side, you have despair, where you're just paralyzed by it all, convinced that life as you know it is basically over. The thing is, both of these are dead ends. So, is there a third way?
All right, let's find that third way. We're going to dive into our first playbook. And this one comes from an absolute master at dealing with catastrophe, the prophet Ezekiel.
To really get this, you have to picture Ezekiel's world for a second. We're talking 6th century BC, and his entire society is collapsing as Babylon invades. And what does he see? His people reacting in those two exact ways we just talked about. Either stubborn denial that things were that bad, or just crushing despair that everything was lost. And underneath it all, they were wrestling with this massive question, one that sounds incredibly familiar, right? The people in denial were asking, how could this be happening? Surely God wouldn't let this happen to us. And the people in despair? They were asking the very same thing, but from a place of complete hopelessness. And this is where Ezekiel's answer is just so radical. He doesn't say God's going to wave a magic wand and stop the crisis. Nope. His vision was that God was sovereignly at work right inside the catastrophe, that God was actually using the crisis for a purpose. So he goes right after both groups. To the denial crowd, he basically says, wake up, this is real. But to the despair crowd, he says, look closer. God is creating something brand new right here in the middle of this wreckage. You see, his goal wasn't to escape the bad times, but to find and embrace God in the worst of times. And the result? It was amazing. A stronger, more resilient community actually emerged from all that rubble. Okay, so that brings us to our second playbook. This one really builds on that foundation, and it comes from Daniel. He tackles a different kind of crisis, not a sudden collapse, but more of a long-term grinding pressure. The Daniel crisis. Yeah, that's the day-by-day stress of trying to live with integrity when it feels like you're being bullied into compromising. It's that feeling of trying to stay faithful when the culture around you just doesn't care and is actively pushing you to just fall in line. And Daniel's guide for surviving this is just brilliantly simple. It's a playbook broken down into two really powerful parts. So here's the breakdown. Part 1 gives us 6 soul stories. These are all about our personal lives, right here in the present. Then Part 2 gives us 4 sovereignty visions, which zoom way out to the big political picture and the future. So you've got personal and political, present and future, all in one book. Okay, let's take a closer look at that first part, the stories that are really designed to build up our day-to-day resilience. These 6 stories, these soul survival stories, they're not about changing the world overnight. They're about one thing, helping you persevere right now, today. They are just laser-focused on nourishing your integrity and keeping you alert to what's really at stake in all those small, daily choices you have to make. Our source puts this so well. It says, these stories have for centuries shot adrenaline into the veins of God obedience. I mean, what a great line. They're not just nice little fables. They're meant to be a direct injection of strength for those moments when you feel that pressure to just conform. So now let's zoom out from that daily battle. After equipping us for the present, Daniel's playbook gives us this huge, big picture perspective with 4 really powerful visions of the future. These visions are like epic, widescreen movies. You know that feeling when world events are so chaotic and crazy, it feels like God has been totally eclipsed? Well, these visions tackle that head on. They show a much, much bigger story unfolding on the world stage. Now look, the visions themselves can be pretty weird and cryptic, but the crucial takeaway is this. They reveal that behind all the noise, behind the posturing of arrogant rulers and the chaos of history, God is, as our source says, serenely sovereign, in control. And this just brilliantly illustrates their whole purpose. The stories give you that adrenaline for daily choices, and the visions? They put backbone into God trust for the long haul. They give you this solid confidence in the long arc of history. So, what do we have here? 2 incredibly powerful ancient playbooks. But what happens when we put them together? Let's try to build a unified toolkit for navigating our own modern crises. Let's just lay it all out.
Ezekiel's playbook gives us a way to see God at work right in the middle of a huge, overwhelming societal disaster. Then Daniel's playbook comes in and equips us for that ongoing personal pressure, teaching us how to live faithfully day by day while trusting the bigger story. And when you put it all together, what you get is a complete toolkit for hope. It's amazing. Ezekiel helps you see God in the current crisis, Daniel's stories ground you in daily integrity, and Daniel's visions give you that long-term hope. It keeps the personal and the political, the present and the future, all held together in one coherent strategy. So, I guess the crucial takeaway is this final question for us. As we look at our own world, our own anxieties, our personal pressures, our societal catastrophes, which part of this ancient playbook do we need to open up right now? Is it the vision to see God in the rubble, the shot of adrenaline for today's choices, or the backbone to trust the future? That's definitely something to think about.